that caffeine kick in. Keep clapping. Keep clapping. Get louder. Louder. Keep clapping until she hits the stage. Valerie Grubb.
Thank you, baby. Oh, my goodness. Woo, all right, good morning, everybody. So funny, I thought I'd be here by myself. I mean, it's like it's raining. I'm like, this is like the perfect night to sleep in, or perfect morning to sleep in. So thank you all for coming. We got a lot I'm gonna throw at you. This idea of 8 steps on how to get results when you don't have direct authority. So 8 steps on this. All of these slides should be up and available in the app. Good, okay, perfect. So start out with knowing your audience. So understand that every time you're trying to get somebody to do something that you want them to do, it is critical that you think about who that is and what they care about. Because understand, it's really about tapping into their why. And it is never about what you want to say, which I know right now people are going, what? What is she talking about? What it is it's about what you want to say in context to what they care about, to what they know and what they care about. So that's why I really need to think about that audience. Think about who it is that I'm trying to influence and what it is that they care about. Because it's in what they care about, and if I can tap those in and like sync those in together, I got a better chance at them doing what it is that I'm asking. And by the way, please understand that this idea of influence, this is even if people report to you. Because if you got the title or you got people reporting to you, yes, you can get them to do what you want. You can get them to comply with what, because most people are smart enough not to completely like tunnel themselves or tank themselves, because so you'll get compliance. But what happens is they'll then walk up and say, all right, I did what you told me to do. I ran into this problem. What do you want me to do now? Instead, as leaders, we need to influence people to get them to want to charge up that hill with us. And if we get them, if we tap into what they care about, if we tap into their why, we got a better chance at them following us up that hill or doing the crazy things that we want them to do. And again, this is as we move up. I had a session yesterday, mega session on getting promoted and really getting into that C-suite, the CHRO spot. And the whole key is remember, when you're at that level, you just got more people that you need to influence. And so this idea of really getting to know somebody, understanding what's important to them, and speaking to that will go a long way in you being able to influence them. Now, I'm curious, who's done like DISC or Insights, stuff like that? All right, not as many people as I thought. I kind of thought it would be sort of 100%. But in anticipation of that, so the reason why you do DISC and Insights and what's the other one, Predictive Index, like there's all these different assessments out there. The reason why we do that is because it's good to, when you're trying to influence somebody, whether directly they report to me or indirectly, it's about understanding what my style is. More importantly, what is their style? Because look, I do a lot in Asia Pacific, and I'll tell you, I can't bring full wattage Val in there because it's like Godzilla's coming in. I mean, they're just like, oh God, get this girl away from me. And so I gotta like tone that down in order to be effective at trying to train or teach somebody. Because otherwise, like I said, I'm just kind of blowing them away. So I know my style. So, but the question is what's that other person? Now, if I put this in here, and again, you can get all these slides online, just in case for anybody who hasn't taken it. So these are the different styles, and what you'll notice here is it talks about what your priorities are, what your fears are, what motivates you. Now, you'd say, all right, that's great, but how do I shrink somebody else out and figure out what they are? Because, again, we're trying to adapt to them. Let me give you the secret. So if you see up here, look, are they fast-paced? Are they fast-paced or are they more thoughtful? And you'll notice that those arrows are pointing north and south, right? We see that? So are they more fast-paced, active, dynamic, bold? Or are they more thoughtful, maybe more calm, moderate-paced? I had to look at that because I can't remember what's the opposite. I'm so far up on the up top. So this is the first question. Where do they go? And then what you do, so for me, I'm up here, I'm run. I'd rather make the wrong decision and keep running forward than like slow down to make a decision, because I am all about course correcting. So I'm up top. Now, the next question you ask, so think about somebody you're trying to influence. Right now, think about who they are. Are they active, fast-paced, or are they calm and methodical? Second question, as you might have figured out, is left and right. And so now it's about, are they questioning? Do they like data? Are they more logic-focused? Or are they more about people? Are they more accepting? Less questioning, if you will. And that now for me, so I'm up in there at active, fast-paced. Now I look and I'm more in the questioning, logic-focused. So that squeezes me right in there in that D, in the D style. So that's how we kind of shrink somebody out to figure out our own style. But again, if I'm telling you to adapt to their style, you got to figure out what they are. And I also just put in here communication tips with each style. So well worth taking a peek at this, because what it shows you is their natural traits, sort of the do's and don'ts of each style. But I went a little bit step further to give you tips on when you're trying to connect, when there's a problem, when you're trying to solve a problem, and next when things get tense. So this is well worth taking a peek at, and you'll see that it's for each of these styles. So here's the D and the I. Switch real quick. I'll give you a chance to look if anybody's taking pictures of these. And again, you've got all these slides online. Now, the key here is just remember that every situation has its own strategy. And the question is, what's your fallback strategy? Because when things get tense, that's how you're going to typically show up. When things get, again, when you're tired, when you're not thinking about it, your fallback strategy is this strong D. That's what shows up. But the question is that the best strategy each and every time? Not necessarily. It depends on who I'm talking to. And so that's really what's important, to have a strategy of what I need to show up as when I walk in that room and try to influence somebody. So I helped to found the women's cable channel, the Oxygen channel. And our CEO, I didn't really know her that well. You know, I'd interviewed with her, but I didn't really know her that well. And the first time I went in to present, we're trying to decide, we founded in New York City, and we were trying to decide where to build our offices and production studios and all this. And I am telling you what, I had the most beautiful Excel chart pivot tables, like it was a staggering work of genius, if I might say. She throws it on the table and asks me, how are the employees going to feel about each of these locations? And I'm literally looking at her and I'm like, is she speaking Chinese? How do they feel? I don't even understand the question. I don't know. Hardcore I got smoked in that meeting. I didn't get one decision made, because what happened is I get lectured on why their opinion matters. So, and again, this is just, it wasn't my natural, again, I'm this D. I'm like, let's run, let's make decisions. And it was just like somebody smacked me across the face, threw water on me, and I didn't walk out of there with a decision. Now and by the way, when we sold the company 8 years later, she was still ragging on me about the fact of coming in there for that first time. And I still come back and I'm like, but they were beautiful pivot tables. It's not buying it. But that's what we need. I failed to influence her in that moment when I needed it. Now, the good thing is at some point she's got to make this decision. But when we go in and present things like budgets, what are the chances that your CFO is like me and likes a great pivot table, likes a lot of data? Pretty strong. And that's why when we do things like presenting budgets, that it is about the number, but then what's the value that it's bringing? How is this helping achieve the mission, vision, values, and goals of the organization? So that's for the CEO, but the numbers we got to know for the CFO. And actually really for the whole C-suite, because the whole C-suite, what they care about, excluding like Jerry Laybourne, the CEO of Oxygen Media, who cares what people feel. That's what was number one on her. Still angry about it. It's been 15 years. Still angry. No, it's been even longer than that. So, and this kind of leads me into the next thing. That again, if you want to influence, particularly at that C-suite level, you got to learn finances. You got to be able to look at a P&L, and you got to be able to talk about how what you do is helping the organization achieve its goals. Please understand, they do not get that. They think that this is a pain in the tuchus, that what you do, they would love it if they could get away with it, if they didn't have to do anything, and people would just show up and work. But we know that's not the reality. But we got to speak in terms of finances. We have to be able to read a P&L, a profit and loss statement. We got to be able to look at a balance sheet and be able to connect the dots between raw material coming in or the services we're buying and how that goes out to the customer. That's what gets you that seat at the table, that CHRO table. And that's also how we influence up. Now, budgeting season. So who knows, are you on what's your fiscal year? Calendar year? All right, so you're up at September, July, something like that. So understanding when your fiscal year, so if your fiscal year starts September 1st, you're probably in the throes of budgeting right now. So you want to know when that is so that if your fiscal year is January, probably in about August, everybody's going to start talking budgeting. That's when you want to come forward and start doing the meetings before the meetings. Because you want an answer before you walk into that budget meeting. You want to go to anybody who has a say, and you divide and conquer. Because in that group think, no, we can't do that. But take them on all individually and talk about how what you're proposing is going to help them, so that they sit in the meeting as well. Your head of sales sits in that meeting and goes, oh my God, Val's proposing this training for our second tier salespeople. We need this training. So that you've already sold the ideas before you walk in there. Always do the meeting before the meeting, particularly when it comes to budgeting. Now, I want you to think elevator pitch. Think elevator pitch, meaning clear, concise, quick. 30 seconds, you got to hook them in 30 seconds. We have a 20% turnover problem. I have the answers. That's going to hook somebody. That is going to make somebody go, wow, tell me more. And that's what we want to do. You want to be, if it's going to take you 10 minutes to get to the point, to convince somebody to say yes, chances are you've already lost them. So lead out with the problem. Lead out when you are going in and convincing people. Lead out with the problem. Tell them what your recommendation is, and then I'd love to tell you more about it. Now what I'm giving them is the why. So again, that's how we hook them in is, God, are you aware of this problem? Holy cow. But guess what? I got the solution. Can I tell you more? So lead out with problem, quick and concise. And I will say this, that if your emails are not getting read, anybody have challenges with emails getting read? Please understand, you need to cut those down to 3 sentences. Problem, recommendation, here's the detail if you care. Because if we do it in that level, remember everybody's reading it on their phone. So we gotta be to the point and get there quickly. Now, one of your most influencing tools, effective influencing tools, is listening. What? Hold on, I thought we're talking. We're trying to convince somebody to do something we want them to do. Yeah, but what we need to do is we need to speak to what we hear. Because typically, particularly if it's challenging, so let's say you go to that head of sales, I don't know if that's really going to be effective, that training you're proposing. All right, tell me your concerns about this. Tell me what it would take for you to come back and say yes. Tell me what it would take for you to say yes. Oh, all right, I heard it. Let me go back and think on that and figure out how to solve that problem. Because what I'm doing is I'm solving their issue, but I'm listening for that. And that's why we got 2 ears, right? I'm not listening to respond. I'm listening to understand and to hear their challenges, because then their problem is my problem. Their problem is my problem. So I'm gonna go solve that. And then, like I said, this is where I come back. Don't get caught up in the, oh my God, I can't believe they said no. My boss just said no to promoting me. Tell me what I need to do in order the next time we have this conversation that you can give me a yes. So I'm not getting angry. I'm staying in the moment so that I can get a yes. I can counter my proposal based on what they tell me. Now, I cannot stress this enough. Please work on the brand of you. We sit as HR folks, we sit in there and think that all the great work you do. What's that saying? If a tree falls in the woods or something, does it happen? Something like that, like a tree, a bear, I don't know, somebody's doing something in the woods. The challenge is if, I will tell you that the key is that if people don't know about it, it doesn't matter. It didn't happen. I need people to know about the awesome brand of you. Now, again, we've talked about the fact that, yeah, you can get positional, once you get a fancy title, but what that assures you is compliance, not necessarily influence. Now, what I want you to do is, yes, develop your expertise power. And by the way, so get better at HR, but as you move up the organization, it's not just about HR anymore. Now your expertise extends to business, because I want you to be able to look at a production report and go, wow, we've got 20% rework in one area, on one part. Let me go in and help, because maybe the people need to be trained. Now, it could be, I don't need you to know the machine, but I need you to be able to, as an expertise power, now it's about more than HR. Now it's about more than HR. And again, absolutely, you need to be credible in your field, an expert in your field, but beyond that, there's all these things that you can do that can help increase your credibility. Match your actions to your words. I always ask people about, I ask, Bob to get something in on Friday, and, here it is Monday, and I got to call Bob to get that. And I'm like, Bob. But then but guess what? I owed something to somebody. It gets to the end of the week, and you know what? I just can't even tell you the week I've had. I'll get it to him on Monday. So I have different standards for everybody else than I have for myself. Now, if I call that person and say, hey, Taisha, I know I said I'd get this in on Friday. It has just been an awful week. Is there any chance I can get this to you on Monday? If Taisha says no, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to get that thing done. Because that's what kills my credibility if my actions don't match my words. So be cautious about committing to dates, because when you do, you're stuck. So confidence, cut to be honest, I hate that. And somebody says, to be honest, I'm like, are you been lying to me the whole other time? Keep confidences, obviously, where you can. Be open to feedback, and also just get stuff done. Now, next is relational. Building, I can tell you that people have a better chance of liking you and listening to you and being influenced by you if they like and trust you. And you can tell that if they don't like or trust you because they ask you more questions. They drill into more details because I don't really know you. And so, now I'm not talking about high school. Oh, do they like me? No. This is, do you compliment people's work? Do you give credit where it's due? Do you make sure, deliver what you say you're going to be doing? This is work likability. And that's the stuff that we need to think about. Now, I want to ask, how much time do you spend building your network? Look at everybody's looking away. They're like, yeah, I know what's going on. You're putting your head down, You're getting the job done, but I need you to have, if you look at this, it's supportiveness versus power and influence. How many people do you have in that upper right-hand corner? Having people who have power and influence as your allies matters. It helps you get stuff approved. It helps you get more done. It helps you get promoted. Because once you start getting into certain ranks, like VP and stuff like that, VP within entertainment, maybe something different in your world. Once you get up to that level, it's not only about what you do, but now the C-suite is going to ask the fellow VPs, does Val deserve to be in that rank? So that's why we need to build those allies and build people who support us, who have power and influence. So I want you out there networking. Last thing, and then I'm done, is build a coalition of supporters. So when you look at this list, so these are 8 people who have influence, who care about a project I'm working on. Now it'll show on here strongly against, see that on the top left, to strongly supportive. So as I look at Steffi right now, Steffi is strongly against my project. I just need her to shut up. I need her to not torpedo my project. Now down here at Bill, second from the bottom, Bill also is not a supporter. But I need that rascal to be moderately supportive. All I need him to do is just tell me, just say, you know what, I think we should spend the money how I want to spend it, but what Val's presenting is actually not a bad idea. I just think we should spend the money how I want to. So again, he's not a project champion, but here is how we use this. See these arrows? Here's the strategy. Look at Sue. Sue is strongly supportive. The arrows show who influences whom. I'm going to go get Sue as an ally of mine to go after Bill and Steffi. Don't go at it alone. Don't go at it alone. Here are your 8 steps to get results when you don't have direct authority. I got a lot of goodies up here. In addition to the slides, there's a lot of goodies on here about an influencing checklist and all this sort of stuff. Folks, thank you so much for coming out and joining me this morning. Really, really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the conference.